I'll do a quick little intro. All right, welcome to Don't Forget Your War Chest. I'm Scott Tucker. I think we're live now. Welcome to Don't Forget Your War Chest. That's what we're calling the show a little bit right now. I'm Scott Tucker here with Mike Wallace.
Greetings.
And we're gonna get into. I'll do a quick intro to Mike here in a minute. Just want to kind of remind people, what we're doing here. And so if you are watching this recording, we're going to be doing these discussions mostly on a weekly basis when we can, to talk about all things military retirement. Obviously, what I focus on, SBP and TSP stuff, might come up a little bit. But when we have Mike joining us, we want to dive in or deep dive with Blue Water Advisors. See what I did there?
There you go.
But honestly, deep dive, like the most relevant information when it comes to money, for a military retiree is how do I get that first job, next job, pay raise, increase, negotiate, what do I say? What do I do? What do I want to be when I grow up? That's what I always hear. So no one better to talk to than Mike. But before we get into it a little bit, just remind everybody, name of the show, get the book. Mike wrote the forward to the book, by the way. Why can't I hold this up to the camera?
There you
Get
go.
the book. Don't forget your war chest. Remember, we have multiple versions of it. And I got the different ranks up here in the corner.
Specific.
And that's just to show different kind of case studies, different numbers available. But that's, it is available in hardcover, but you can get it on Amazon. But if you log into our website at usvetwealth.com, click the book link up there somewhere, and you can join our portal and access it for free, which is the place, our military retirement blueprint portal, which is where we have our more inside discussion, additional knowledge. And I think we're going to be doing is maybe offering some exclusive stuff that Blue Water does a little bit, down the road as we're, figuring out the technology behind all this. But for now, obviously, a lot of our audience is on LinkedIn. So if you are on LinkedIn, you probably already do know about Mike Wallace and Blue Water Advisors, but out of the Hampton Roads area, just providing that extra career progression, insight, the current, credible, and relevant. Did I get the three of them right?
There you go. You got
there
it.
You go.
There you
because, Mike's been out in the corporate world. He's got the stories of his time at Amazon, but then also, and this is really kind of what I wanted to get into today, it's the dozens and dozens, if not hundreds at this point, of other stories of success from himself, his colleagues, his friends over the years, and now his graduates coming out of Blue Water Advisors. It's just a powerful resource to see what you can learn from that. What do we do in the military? Lessons learned, pass it along. And so it can work in this capacity. He's filling a gap that has been missing. Let's face it, the same reason I, talk about what I do in this book. It's the senior military retirees, officer or enlisted, tend to kind of get ignored in the big picture of, what happens after the military. And even though you're
too, Scott, you're filling that gap, right? I mean,
right.
It's that the insight, the keen insight that you bring to the table is just not historically been available, right, to senior leadership for us to make an informed decision. And that's what I appreciate about what you and Jen do. And with, don't forget your war chest. You bring all that insight to the table so we can make, and you've heard me say this before, that mathematical decision, turn this into a 1 or 0, right? Is this in my best interest or not? And let's sit down and have a hard look at that. And that was just insight that I would just never personally was made available to me. It was a rush decision. I didn't appreciate it. And I would just not want that for my members that are coming through. And that's why we love partnering with you and having you a part of what Blue Water's doing. You're a great resource because it's not my swim lane. It's not my area expertise, but to have a trusted relationship with somebody like yourself where I can honestly say, hey, members, if you've got questions in this regard, Scott's been with us almost since day one. If you think back, right? I mean, you've been part of this thing. It's almost 3 years now, Scott.
Right. I came to was that the first cohort?
Yeah, it was like all the way back in January, February of 21, right?
It looks very different.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've come a long way since then, right? But just love having that trusted relationship. So thanks
Right.
for
No, I thank you for the kind words, because what I saw that since that first day of walking in the room there was something I hadn't seen in the military retirement space. And I've been in this space for over a decade,
yeah.
just talking to military retirees. What are the resources? How did you get hired? All that kind of stuff. And, everybody kind of had to fight their own path. And by sitting in that room that day, I was like, oh, this is going to be different. And, clearly that has worked out in your favor. So, but your expertise is the knowledge and sharing that with the others in the room. It's not doing all this dog and pony show stuff that I do. So what my goal is, with the military retirement blueprint, is that I want to bring, the Blue Water message to the bigger military, the bigger audience of military retirees who can benefit from it, one way or the other, because that's what we're all trying to do, is just kind of pay it forward, right? And so that's the idea. It's I want to get Mike Wallace out there more. One, to let people know how to get in touch with you and benefit from your services, but also to kind of share the knowledge, like I said. But
we appreciate it. Love it.
Yeah, and then of course the key is always at the end of the day, this is always about money. How long do I serve? Do I try to get promoted?
Yeah.
Do I want to get more paycheck? What's my retirement benefit going to be? How much VA disability am I going to have? And then when I go to my new job, what's my income and salary going to be? Benefits package.
Yeah.
It really is all about money. But in the military, you can maybe get a job you like by somebody but the pay is the pay.
Yeah.
Usually. I don't know. Maybe in the very, very senior ranks, it's all political at that point.
No. I mean, you bring a good point, right? And I know we're going to span a bunch of topics here today, but you just kind of threw out, hey, it's all about money, and this is a lot of it is, right? And the majority of our members, when they seek out Blue Water and when the time is right and we make that connection, right, there are a number of earning years left, right? Whether it's typically members, come to us at the 05 or 06, which is the majority, some 07s now, which is the majority of our membership. That's a 48 to 55-ish window. And so there is some finite period of time. And I know that works into your calculus as well, too, on SBP and looking at some of those options. But your point is, it just made me think about this, and you said this earlier, networking is net worth. Net worth is networking, right? I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean, when people step out and they step in, hey, I want to generate some more income, right? And I want to do that through networking, which is going to transfer into your net worth, right? And, so the question that people come to us, or the approach that often members will make, is they'll step in and they go, hey, Mike, I know what I'm worth. This is what I was getting paid in the service. And you can make that tax adjustment algorithm. And hey, so I'm not working for a penny less than this amount. And what we spend a lot of time talking to members about is that's not the question that you need the answer to. What you are seeking the answer to, really, and Scott, you and I've had this conversation before. It's like, what can this company compensate you for doing this role and responsibility in this geographic area? That's what you want to know the answer to, because not every company has the ability to compensate, individuals perhaps at the level that they deem that they are worthy of. And in that case, then members have a decision to make. Either, you're going to adjust your strategy and your personal mission, vision, priorities, and you're going to pursue this company at a level that they can't compensate you, or you're going to start looking for another company, right, that's going to compensate you more. But, members quickly realize in this new phase, this career progression, it doesn't all have to be about money. It's about fit. It's about quality of life. There are other things that are out there that you want to hold near and dear, right, to your strategy, that you're unwilling to budge on. And Money may only be part of it, right?
Yeah.
Can be an important part, but it doesn't have to be the sole part about that. And I know you and your vision on this and how they approach SBP and some of these other things, that plays a big part into that. So, that just helps translate for members when they're pursuing this, right? It doesn't all have to be about this, but as they come here, often they will start the conversation. I'm not working for a penny less than this much. And I'm like, no. Don't start the conversation there. What do you want to pursue? What company is going to be a good fit for you? What company is going to or industry is going to support the strategy that you've built? For example, individuals come to us and they say, hey, I've got kids in school. I don't want to leave the Hampton Roads area. I have to stay here for at least 3 or 4 years. And so the answer that I put together has to be here. And I'm not willing to go work for less than a penny less than $375,000 a year, right? And I'm like, ooh, okay. Not to say that you can't make that kind of compensation, but are you going to find it step one in the Hampton Roads area? Statistically and analytically, what we see is that's probably, not, statistically in your favor to make that conversation. Are you willing to move to Seattle? Are you willing to move to San Francisco? Are you willing to move to Los Angeles or New York or some of these? Are you willing to go overseas? Are you willing to do this kind of work for companies that look like this and this and this? Well, no, I'm not. Well, so then we're going to go back and say, hey, your strategy maybe doesn't support, right, the execution. Yeah. So either what you're pursuing needs to change or your strategy needs to change, but you've got some kind of misalignment there. And these are great conversations we love having with our members, right? And as they're trying to bring into focus, that next step. And you play a big part into that too, Scott, right? And it just, our members, right, I'll say that plural, are the beneficiaries of a lot of the insight we bring to the table. And I think they really appreciate it, right? It helps them navigate that space.
Yeah. And so the first step that I think you're introducing them to is kind of a little bit into the theme of today's topic. You hit on a little bit the network. And that's what I was getting at as well. The net worth equals the network. Well, net worth is more than just money. Mm-hmm. It's really, wealth is about how you're spending your time. How mm-hmm. are you fulfilling, do you feel influential? Do you feel meaningful, in what you're doing? And that might mean, a certain paycheck or whatever on a chart, but you're going to find out that that's not about that. We kind of get used to that on the active duty. You just look at the pay chart. What is it this year? So, now's the opportunity to kind of get away from that. But the networking part of this comes in, the obvious one is, well, how do you find the guy who's going to get you the job? But I think what you hit on in recent conversations we've had that I hadn't thought about, it's just about, not just knowing the guy who knows all the guys, but knowing the people who are staying in touch with the people who are recently going through something, mm-hmm. so they can kind of give you these insights. And not everybody is set up to share their insights all the time and what they've learned. Hey, they got a new job. They're focused on it, right? But to be able to be the core place for folks to come back to and kind of share, what their salary package was or how the hiring process went. I think that's a part of networking that we don't think about, coming out of the military. Like, why are people unaware of this and having these unrealistic expectations for salaries and where they can work and all that? Because we're not tuned in. We're not networking with people out in the civilian world, veterans or otherwise. And, that's, it's the same thing all the time. All right, how do I do this? Where do I get started? Getting on LinkedIn. So, Mike, I was hoping you could share some of the, best insights and tips or successes you've seen from people going from, I either don't know how to network or I don't want to network to, holy cow, I made a good connection here that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah. No, it's a fair ask and it's a good call out, right? So what we spend a lot of time talking to members about is, our members approach us, and I just want to be really clear here. Our members are incredibly talented, educated, the pedigree of the individuals that they are, these individuals move mountains, right? There's nothing that they can't do. they've delivered results in some really arduous circumstances, right? And they just do that massively well. But the point that I want to make is their counterpart, who never wore the cloth of the nation, who's been out in some industry, you fill in the blank, for 20, 25, 30 years, they have the network, Scott, in that industry, in and around those companies that make up that industry. And they've been earning trust with it for 25 or 30 years. Our member coming out of service, equally talented, equally educated, and in many instances, far and above just with those soft skills and hard skills, what this individual, their counterpart may have. But the one thing they don't have is what? Is the network. You with me?
And the trust, other than the assumed trust of having more in the uniform. And that's
exactly.
So
and network is a word that we kind of throw around. We just kind of say network. And, you got to meet people. But let's not forget what your network is. Your network is people, and people are strange animals, right? I mean, you have to earn trust with individuals, and we put out to our members, they often come to us and they go, "Hey, Mike, how soon should I step in to take, the Blue Water career progression course?" And I'm like, sooner is always better, right? Because the long pole in the tent is going to be building your network. Now, the benefit of Blue Water is we build a network, and we have been building that since day one, and we track it and we massage this network. So we know members who are immersed into the heavy lift of their job, coming out of the military, that they are likely not to have had time to kind of build a robust network that's going to support their needs. And that's okay. We've built the network. Come to Blue Water. We're going to plug you into that network, but it doesn't stop there, Scott. You have to reach a tipping point. If you're going to pursue an industry and a company, you might need 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points of contact, right, in that industry, in several companies that you're pursuing, until you reach that density, that tipping point, to where all of a sudden conversations are happening on the inside about you, right? You with me? And that's where the magic starts to happen, right? And that's how you get movement and people reaching out saying, "Hey, Scott, I'm interested in you," right? We've had a couple of conversations. I know you had a conversation with a couple of my peers, and we'd like to talk to you about an opportunity. Are you interested, right? That's how this happens, right? What I see our members come to the table is they want one connection, and they go, "Great, I've now met somebody new who's in a company." Let's just say I was talking medical earlier with the gentleman who called in, but let's just say I've now met one person in Johnson & Johnson. Mm-hmm. Okay, great. That's a great start. Now they just wait and they go, "Why is a job opportunity not coming for me?" And I'm like, you are not done. You have to keep network. Now, Blue Water continue to introduce you to people, but at some point in time, Scott, we want to empower our members to pursue building their network on their own. And we absolutely have some great products that we put on our website, to walk individuals through how to do this. This is a masterful targeted networking approach. And surprisingly, very few people know how to utilize LinkedIn in a targeted networking search. And if you'll allow me, I'll just talk you through one example.
Sure.
And for the listeners who are on LinkedIn, you can follow me through this, or if you're interested in looking at the video tutorial that we put together, I'm happy to kind of give you insight into our website, and you can look at it for yourself. But on LinkedIn, if you will go to your networking tab, and if you pull this down, and let's say, for example, you're going to search a company that you might be interested in. Let's say you want to look at Shell Oil. And so you're going to type Shell Oil into the networking tab, and you're going to hit enter. And you're probably going to get.
Why don't I share my? Sorry, Mike. Why don't I share my screen and I'll do it, and then that way.
Absolutely.
It's like we can make this. This isn't. This is meant to be kind of informal workshop.
Look, you got some high tech going on here.
Yeah, well, that's us right now live.
Yeah.
It's a crazy. Here, let me do this. And
all right. So go up in your search field up in the upper left-hand side there, and just for the heck of it, just type Shell Oil up there. And so this assumes that you've got some interest in the, energy industry, right? And you want to kind of look at this. So you'll see that in the center screen there, a bunch of people jumped out there. You could scroll down. You could probably see Shell Oil's company page if you wanted. But scroll up a little bit, and I want you to click on See All People Results. Down a little bit. Down, there you go. See All People Results. And so just right there, you've got 56,000 people. And you're probably saying, hey, like, this is completely unusable, right? I'm not going to go through 56,000 people to try to figure out somebody to have a conversation with. So if you notice at the 1 o'clock position there where it says all filters in the upper right-hand corner, if you click all filters, and if you see the far right of the screen here, there's some means for you to filter these 56,000 results. So let's scroll down, and the first one I come to is location. So of the 56,000 people, let's just say for this breakout, let's just say you want just the people in the United States. So just click United States only, because Shell Oil's probably got people all over the world. Continue to scroll down. Okay, so current company. So this breakout probably has a lot of people that are at Shell Oil, but it probably also has a lot of people that were at Shell Oil. So let's click on current company Shell, because I just want to see the people that are there right now. Now, past company, let's drill into this a little bit. Let's say, Scott, I know your Army background, I'm Navy, but let's just say United States Navy. Let's just say, if you just type in U.S. or United States Navy, see what comes up. Okay, so the second, there you go. Okay, so you could go down and filter it by a school. You could go down and filter it by some other, but let's just click on show results and see what that works out to. Okay, so you've shrinked your search from 56,000 people down to 87. And now you could go back up to your all filters tab and pull it back down and go, okay, instead of the United States, let's just say I want to see people in Virginia, maybe add a location, just Virginia. Right? And then if I go down further, or you could show results there. Okay, you've got one in Virginia. So you maybe want to back that out a little bit. Maybe you can go Virginia, and you could add maybe Houston and Virginia. Maybe those would be two good locations. Or your Houston, Virginia. See what you get there. So you're down to 44. So not to take all our viewers and continue to filter this down, but I think you're starting to see that filters are a great way for you to filter this out. Now, I love the school, right? You could put Naval Academy, you could put U.S. Naval War College, Naval Postgrad School, like whatever you had in common with somebody there, you can filter it out. And now you're left until you get with a usable number there to where, okay, I can actually reach out to these individuals on what we call as a cold call message. And say, for example, you want to reach out to Brian there, or maybe Christine up at the top of your screen. And so, you could reach out to Christine. If you had LinkedIn Premium, you could send her an email. If you want to call up her profile, you can still send her a note, right? If you click on more, and then there should be a way to connect. Nope, down one, there you go. Connect, and you would add a note. Now you get 300 characters here. And so you would say, Christine, your profile came up in a search of Shell Oil executives. My name is Scott Tucker. I'm interested in learning more about Shell Oil in this region, blah, blah, blah. Whatever your approach is, that's a cold call message. But you could also say, Christine, your search, I see we have Navy background in common. We both share an interest in the oil industry, whatever those connections are. Scott, I can't tell you how powerful this is And I cannot tell you how many of our members pass on this opportunity. And again, on average, our career progression consultants, we track this. You get about a 20 to 30% response rate. Meaning if you're going to send 10 of these out, okay, you're going to get somewhere between 2 and 4 responses, right? But the exciting thing about this is in the cold call networking realm, it's targeted, it's focused, and where you're making connections with individuals that you have a lot in common with, based on how you have filtered this data, you can yield some real results in this, right? And think about this. You can do this time and time and time again on any number of different industries, companies that are out there, et cetera. And we think it's really powerful. So it's a great networking approach, Scott, to really boost your targeted network. And we're big on that, right? I don't want you just to click on somebody and up your number of connections by 1. Inherently, there may be a value to that, but I think you get the point I'm trying to make, right? This is a very focused, targeted approach. We spend a lot of time talking to our members about it, but we just don't get a lot of members that fully understand the power of this, right? It can be very, very powerful in building.
And I think this is something I'm frustrated with in the whole military transition, process space. And it's not even something that you could even add to your repertoire, because getting hired in the corporate world, you have to go through the typical HR process. But I think we should be teaching sales and marketing skills, because ultimately that's what this is. This is a sales and marketing problem. And the hardest problem of sales and marketing is getting to know or accepting rejection. And even though what's really happening on LinkedIn is that people that aren't responding are either overwhelmed or don't pay attention to LinkedIn anymore. So
there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah,
we can't take it all personally. I do too. It's like, oh man, so-and-so didn't respond. It's like, who knows if they not even watching LinkedIn anymore. I don't look at Facebook anymore. People write me all the time. I feel bad sometimes. But
what we're building at Blue Water, right, attacks this on a couple of fronts, right? Not only do we really espouse the targeted approach of this, right? But it's organically also the network that we are building, from past, current, and future members that are going to be part of the Blue Water ecosystem, right? All of our members come through. They will eventually land and be someplace, and they are now an active part of our network. And and just hold your thought there just for a second. Like when we started this off back, you and I had this conversation. I'm like, what the heck, January, February of 2020, 2021, it's like, are you kidding me? We've got 10 people in the network. We've got 20 people. And you're just like, man, I questioned, is this really going to, turn into something? But you get 6 months into this, you get 12 months into this, you get 2 years into this, you get 3 years into this. And now the network and the keen insights across hundreds of companies and industries, hundreds deep of the pedigree of individuals that come through our door. God, that's powerful, right? And it grows month over month over month.
And I think the real catalyst is what's going to happen is when guys hit their 2 to 3 or 4 year mark and want to jump to the next position and kind of, start want to get pay raises and move around. When you start having your network introduce people, because once they start becoming someone of influence and they're like, well, hey, now I'm hiring people. Who am I going to hire? So here's what I was just thinking a second ago. We were just doing the search feature. So what I do on LinkedIn, and this is what I want to do. If you saw my battle rhythm that I posted, I want to do a LinkedIn power hour. And I was thinking Fridays at lunchtime, kind of just open invite. We're going to do it private inside the portal, but we'll talk like inside baseball on LinkedIn strategies. And there's no right or wrong. Sometimes you got to do the direct outreach approach and doing the filters and stuff. Sometimes there's some other stuff you can do. But what I was thinking just now is, well, why not? What if you could create either I don't know if it would be a certificate. We'd have to look at the LinkedIn platform, but quite frankly, you could just say that anybody who went through your program is a Blue Water graduate, and add them, and they could add that to their experience on their profile. Or maybe you have them added as a school. So now when you tell your new students coming in, the first thing they add as a search is Blue Water graduate,
Yeah,
right?
Blue Water certified members.
Yeah, something along those lines, because sooner or later you're going to have over 1,000 people.
Well, we're really excited about this. So that's a great segue. Stay tuned, right? For members, Blue Water Digital, we're working hard to make that a reality, right? And turn that platform, with our IT partners here locally, we're pursuing a lot of those options. So we're not just sitting back and just, letting our members just be the recipient of just a message or content or whatever. Man, we are pushing the edge of this envelope. We are taking full advantage of our members, right? Where they're at, their keen insights, their landing reports, their insight on just how they found success specifically at a particular company or within an industry, right? That's the power of Blue Water, right? And we're just excited to continue to build that, month over month over month. And we've reached a point, right, as we start getting close to starting our 4th year, numbers start to kind of mean something, right? I mean, the numbers and the volume of individuals that are through who have found success, who are now part of the expanded network, who are waiting, right, for new members to plug in with them so that they can have an opportunity to assist those new members in finding their success, right? That's truly at the heart of what it is we're trying to build here.
Well, actually, that's Greg just asked us a question, and this kind of again also segues into what we were talking about. Like, hey, if you're already, at a job, but how do we do this networking thing while we're still employed? So I'll just read Greg's question. And Greg is, here in the local area, a West Point grad as well, 2001 grad. How you doing, Greg? Had a good starter civilian job, so he got out a couple years ago. Had a network in the specialty, but that's not being supported by the company, and ready to move on in the network, but still employed on LinkedIn. I kind of think here, LinkedIn is a networking event in and of itself. It's 24/7, and you're allowed to have a conversation with somebody at all times. And how you reach out, whether you're doing it one-on-one or being official about it, that's one of the things I think that's underutilized on LinkedIn, is building out the kind of personal brand and not making it about your specialty, but making it more about your personality. That way people kind of just get to know you for other reasons, and then eventually kind of go, oh, what are you doing? What do you like to do? Now that takes more time, takes more dedication. You don't always have the ability to kind of do that when you have a full-time job as well. But those are my 2 cents. I just wanted to see, Mike, if this has come up at all for you yet in your graduates.
2 things come to mind, right? And I'm not sure, I'd love to talk to Greg offline and kind of get his specifics, but one of the tendencies that we see with our members when they do land at their first success, the first thing they want to do is just drop the pack. I've got a job, I'm done. Right. I mean, that's kind of their mindset.
Yeah.
Right? I've arrived and I'm done.
Hence the people that stop being active on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm saying, no. And I say, you think building your network that assisted you in achieving and helping find success was time consuming and hard this time? Try building it, not touching it for 3 years, and then trying to go back to it. Your network is people. Right. And people don't forget that. Right. And earning trust and maintaining trust and confidence with your network, you have to vest into it. And so I'm not sure if that was, where Greg landed there or not. I would love to talk to him about it. But, it sounded like he had built a little bit of a network in there. And now he's going to be pursuing something new, perhaps, is what it sounds like. Maybe not exactly, in alignment with where he's at right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg, I would just encourage you to start doing what we refer to as your market analysis phase. Like, what are those industries and companies that are out there that you're interested in? And you got to do a little bit of due diligence in those areas first. Once you start to narrow that down and find those good fits that align with your personal mission, vision, and priorities, right? Then you get busy at, the big game hunting, right? You're setting your sights on companies like that. And then that's when you could reach out to an organization like Blue Water. You'd say, hey, Mike, do we know anybody at Deloitte or Ernst & Young? I really want to get into, a consulting advisory company like this. And I was wondering if you might be able to make some introductions. The answer is yes. We have a lot of members there. We're happy to kind of make those initial connections. But members can also, as we just walked through, Scott, can help themselves out in that regard, right? By deep diving those companies, looking for individuals for those things that you can filter out that you have things in common with those individuals, right? And you can pursue conversations out there. And one of the keys to networking is, and you get this, and people that have done this realize that a lot of our members aren't experienced at networking. While, you get smiles on their faces while they're looking for their next success, and while they are looking for their next job, you never ask for one, right? And that's the hat trick in networking, right? I mean, you work so hard to build a relationship and have a conversation with somebody. It's almost backwards. It's almost ironic that the key to and success in networking is you're never asking for anything. You're almost looking for an opportunity to do something. Right?
There you
You're
go.
looking for a window of opportunity to demonstrate your level of understanding, or an assessment of the skills that you have that may be a good fit here. But you're not going to say, "Hey, what job do you have?" And I really want to talk to you about getting hired. Man, people are defensive animals at that point, right? But you just you want to get your foot in the door and really get them to talk about themselves, right? And that is your in. That is
so. Let me ask you this, because I've always been curious about this as a strategy that knocks out. And this is, again, when it comes into learning sales and marketing skill sets. It's all about communication.
Sure.
Are you communicating, well enough your skills, your values, what you even want? Are you communicating with yourself what you even want? And I think that's the thing we forget to do often, coming out of the military. Again, back to that question, what do I want to do when I grow up? Also means, what's even available given, what I did in the military. And when we aren't quite sure if we've got the right certifications to do the thing we either want to do or that we're get paid well for, as part of the research, I always thought a neat idea would be to just do interviews, like literal interviews, like we're doing right now, and showcase the individuals at those companies. Now, the trick would be on LinkedIn is try to figure out who wants to talk about themselves at that company.
Sure.
And so going in without any pretense that you're even employable, just saying, hey, I noticed your post on LinkedIn. I like what you talk about. Sounds like you do good work and you like hiring veterans, whatever. Would you like to, I'm doing research about all sorts of different companies. I'm going through my own retirement myself. Would you be interested in doing a quick interview? I can showcase you on the platform. And oh, by the way, this is how I do my networking. Be honest about it.
Sure.
And I know that would work because nobody does it. Nobody would do it. They think I don't like being on camera, or, no one would pay attention or watch and stuff. It's like, no, you got to realize that some of those individuals want the practice to come on and be interviewed, and in a low stakes environment. Think about the people at the job fairs sitting behind the booths. Interview all those people. They want to. Their job is to showcase their company and make them look good, right? And so, what better thing to do? Anyways, I thought that was an idea most people could do more.
No, it's a great call out, right? And it just kind of made me think of a couple things. There's two things that when I see our members pursuing this, that I just makes me take a knee. The first thing is, those little banners people put around their name, it says open to work, or, hey, look at me, I need help, right? I can't, it's like I've fallen, I can't get up, that kind of thing. We've actually done a little research on that, right? And for the pedigree of individuals that come through Blue Water, we highly encourage individuals not to put that banner up, right? And for a couple of reasons. One primarily is that, it may garner some attention from the ocean of goodwill that it's out there. But 9 times out of 10, it's not the type of attention that the members are looking for, right? I mean, it's the pursuit that they are looking for. That's not who's going to come knocking. And the fact of the matter is, we want our members to take charge. Part of our process is, I think you're really getting it. This is a targeted approach. We're going to do your homework, and you're going to track. You're going to find, it's like hunting big game. I mean, this is what this is, right? Yeah. And you're going to do this. Again, the other thing that just makes me take a knee and it just breaks my heart is, like, I hear individuals go, well, I'm going to go to some job fair or whatever, and I'm going to walk in and I'm going to stand here until somebody likes me, right? And it's like a third grader going out at recess on the playground, and he's going to wait to be picked for kickball. And they go, oh, you like me? I like you. Okay, I'll be on your team. And we tell our members, don't give away your decision-making authority. Like, I'm not saying that may not be a good opportunity. If you go to a job fair and all of a sudden some company, we'll just say a company like Microsoft comes up and they're nice to you and they invite you over to their booth and they go, hey, they really like me. And I'm not saying that may not be a great opportunity. It absolutely very well may be. What we espouse is, I want you to prove it to yourself. Prove to yourself that it's a good fit. Does it fit with your personal mission, vision, priorities? Does it fit with all those things that you're looking to hold dear in this next phase in your life and your career progression? And if it is a good fit, then pursue it. And if it's not, then don't look at it as a shiny object that you're going to be drawn off. Stay on target, right? Hunt the big game, the outcome that you want. And we just see, the ocean of goodwill, and the approach can just be desperation, right? You're just going to stand there and wait for somebody to pick you. And the statistics, the statistics often, right? It is not a good fit. And the one thing we look at our membership, and the one thing, if I could stereotypically say, we know our members. We understand who our members are. The fact of the matter is, if it is a bad fit and they are unfulfilled and they're not happy there, they will leave. Yeah. And you will thrust yourself back out into this career progression time. And while I can't guarantee that your first choice is going to be the best choice, I want to be very clear about this. Make no mistake about it. This is the goal, right? That's the goal. I want you to pick wisely and arrive at a good fit right from the get-go. And in the event that you do leave later, that's your decision. You weren't thrust out of this because you hated it and it was a horrible fit, right? I want you to do that legwork up front. And I want you to arrive at a good fit, right? And know that it's a good fit. And we can help with that, right? And largely that comes back to the networking side, Scott. You're going to understand it's a good fit. You're going to have a lot of conversations, not just one, not just two, and then a job offer's coming, right? I mean, every place that I found employment, whether or not that was at Amazon, or I came back and did consulting, or I did some contract work at, some government contracting companies, right? Like, you're networked into whatever your pursuit is, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people. You cannot be networked. There's not a point where you say, oh, you're over networked. That is not a thing, right? The more people that you know and who know you, right? That's what it's about, right? That's what networking is all about.
Yeah, I was thinking while you were talking there, because you said it a couple of times, take a knee. I want to do a segment where it's called Take a Knee with Mike Wallace. And Coach Mike's going to come in and just honestly, we should do like your top 10, things where you're just like, fellas, like, here's the way it works. Oh. And, because it's like, going to those networking events. That's what I say. If you're just on LinkedIn and you're not posting or commenting, because that's the easiest way to engage with people is comment on their post. Don't send them a message. Be a frequent comment on their post. If you're going to reach out to the person at Shell, reach out to the person at Shell who posts a lot. Yeah. And do them a favor understand that LinkedIn is about doing favors for each other. When you comment and like people's posts, it boosts their posts. So that then they feel they
Building your
kind of owe
brand.
you something, right?
Have a brand. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
But
like I just wanted to say just two things.
Yeah.
You just made me think about this, right? And you know, take a knee, right? I get it, right? There are so many things that we feel we have to repeat. But I go all the way back to when I used to be an instructor in the F-14, and I would fly sometimes with students. Maybe it was their third or fourth flight or fifth, very few hours in it. And inherently, you almost, I won't say almost you knew the mistakes they were going to make before they ever did it. Like you were that far out in front. Whether it's you forgot to lower the gear, or maybe you didn't raise the gear, or maybe you didn't do something, you knew the mistakes. And while that's a frustration to an instructor who does this day in and day out for years of their life, it's that person's first time they've made that mistake.
Yeah.
So while we do take a knee, and while it is frustration, we have that allegiance to our members that I get it. I go, that's the first time you're hearing this, or that's the first time you now understand why you don't do it this way. But that may be the 150th time, that we're sharing that insight. And so I think it's important for me and the rest of our career progression consultants like Jim Webb and Steve Weeman and Brian Herdlick and Dave Wadelick and all these guys. Now John Malfitano is with us, and these guys are coming to the table. That's probably something important for us to keep in mind. Like, hey, we're going to see these mistakes over and over and over again, but we need to understand that our members are just seeing it for the first time, largely, right? If that makes sense, right?
No, absolutely. And ultimately, that's why you're the guy to know, because not just the other people to know inside these organizations and to build out that network. I mean, that's the secret behind all this. Everybody who's listening is that Blue Water has set it up for you. I kind of jokingly call it an old boys network. Want to be all inclusive, but you get the pun. And so we just really appreciate you setting this up and offering the insights. And so I think doing a take a knee every Tuesday with Mike, just to kind of share, like maybe we just go a little bit deeper into a particular thing, tell a story, and then answer questions as they come up.
I love it.
And we can go 15 minutes or 2 hours, whatever, it just depends on how deep the questions go. But Mike,
well, ultimately, this is about meeting the needs of our members, right? And navigating with them to their next success. And so we're I'm just floored that the trust and confidence that they bestow upon us to allow us to be a part of that, right? I never take that for granted, right? And so we reciprocate that we put our members' needs above all else, right? And we're very transparent about our approach, the business, how it is we're growing. Ultimately, we're customer obsessed, right? And sound familiar from a time when I was at Amazon, right? The number one thing that company was and never lost sight of is they were customer obsessed. Well, this makes all the sense in the world, right? I mean, our members are what make us successful. Why wouldn't I obsess over them? I want nothing more than for each and every one of them to find their next success. And then for us to be able to preserve those keen insights that they learned along the way, right? It just makes sense, right? It's an efficient approach. I mean, imagine if you and I could go back through a DOD, Department of Labor, Department of Defense, Veteran Affairs kind of multi-hatted, program like TAP. Could you imagine if TAP tracked everybody who'd been through TAP, their specifics, their background, where they landed, the successes and challenges that they learned along the way, what company and industry they were with, how they negotiated, their offer, what did the company extend to them? What did they negotiate? And ultimately, what did they arrive at? Like, if you knew all of that, think of the data and the insight you would have. Listen, for everybody listening, that's at the heart of what we're trying to build here at Blue Water. And it's not a fit for everybody. I tell our members, right? Hey, I hope you guys are excited about this. Welcome to the family. But if you are not a good mentor, and we have people, hey, Mike, I really love these insights. I'd love to plug in. Hey, but you know what? I just don't think I'm a good mentor. I just don't really think I'd be interested in kind of helping the next guy along. I go, you know what? This is probably not a good fit for you. That's not what we're building here, Scott. And you know that, right? We're building this program together. I want to build something that's going to be bigger than all of us, that's going to have these laser focused, keen insights. And at some point in time, you are just going to have to recognize the data and the insight that we have, that you cannot, deny that this is delivering results and changing people's lives, right? This is what it's about.
Yeah. Well, taking the lessons learned from those who went before is the smartest way to network, to compound the lessons learned. So, no, you definitely set it up. And I think, the trust factor is there for you because, we can talk about your business model on another show, but you're not like a recruiting firm where you're just trying to get people through to get hired by such and such firm because they're going to give you a kickback or whatever. You're not tied in that way at all. It's truly, you're almost doing a research project, I would say, by the data you're gathering and taking your time to have only 10 people in a room, plus or minus, to give, very personal attention to everybody. And so it's only fair that I would think that people want to share their insights. And I think most people probably do as well. Because again, they're probably, whether it's, hey, I'm ready to move on, or the company needs you to move on because they ran out of money. and who gets laid off first. So we're aware of troubled economies ahead, or at least I hope we are. Maybe that's another topic as well. But well, cool, Mike. Well, hey, I know you're busy. We're coming up on 4:00, but I think it was awesome.
Time flies, right? Time flies.
No, awesome show today. We've had 3 to 5 viewers this whole time. So I'll be interested to see how many total we've had. But given this was kind of spontaneous,
that's fun.
But yeah, for those listening, the idea here is, Mike and I just kind of want to chat and kind of update what's been going on in our space. We're talking to just tons of military retirees as senior leaders every day from from what we do. And it only makes sense to kind of have those conversations overlap a little bit. But I'm being honest when I said, hey, Mike's message is the most valuable in the now. My message is useful along the way. But hey, when it comes to what do you want to do after the military, I know that that's where your head and mindset is. So I'm just glad that we can kind of give that platform to continue those conversations online. So we'll continue that inside our portal. When you log in to get the book, you can get access to that. We've got a whole bunch of stuff in there. And we'll see you live in there. But all right, Mike, where can people find you other than obviously on LinkedIn?
Yeah, you can find us on our website, right? It's on the World Wide Web there, bluewater-advisors.com, right? We've got a great website. If you're interested in attending a cohort, we highly encourage you to lead turn that, right? In fact, I'm here to tell you between today and December, if you can believe this, Scott, I've got maybe 2 seats available in October.
Wow.
And I've probably got 4 seats available in our December cohort. Aside from that, 2023 is complete, right? And we're already busy at scripting out our 2024 schedule. And so we got to get busy on that, and we'll release that hopefully as we get into Q4. So
yeah, I'm excited to kind of know what's coming next there, because I've been talking to people in Europe and in California, and every time I mention you, they're like, "Ooh, what we're doing." So that's another reason Mike can't be everywhere. So another reason we want to get him on these videos more.
Got to get the word out. Yeah,
people can chime in and learn that way. But cool. Well, we'll look forward to announcing those dates on future episodes. But Jen chimed in to say. We done good.
Thanks, Jen. We appreciate it. Scott, you're a great host. Thanks for having me, man. I love doing these things with you.
No, I appreciate it. All right,
Okay.
everybody. We will see y'all next time.
Good day, everybody.